Hey, good morning and welcome to opening day of the Coconut Grove Arts Festival here in beautiful Miami, Florida. I'm super happy and excited to be back at this festival. It's one of the most fun festivals to exhibit in all year. It's more than just an art show. It's a whole arts and cultural festival here in South Florida, and it's a real honor and privilege just to be here. And if you watched my video from last year, you'll know that they hired a new festival director last year who made some really great improvements to the art festival, and those changes resulted in excellent sales for me and a lot of other artists here. And this year, festival director Camille Marchese is back again and has continued to improve the art show here, and this year really focused on the Emerging Artist program here at Coconut Grove. A lot of festivals have emerging artist programs, and a lot of the times those programs really are just programs that give emerging artists a discounted booth and just kind of like send them out on their own. So she enlisted the help of seasoned festival director Cindy Larrick to design a really comprehensive emerging artist program that basically becomes a 2-year boot camp for emerging artists to show them how to do art festivals and give them the support needed and show them what it really takes to break into the art festival world. One of the components of that emerging artist program was inviting seasoned artists like myself to a panel discussion on Thursday night, the night before setup, to talk to the emerging artists about what it's like to be a festival artist. There were 2 panel discussions, and I was on the panel discussion with fellow artist Mark Mohrenweiser discussing the topic of why I do art festivals for a living. The other topic was the business of art festivals that had a great panel as well. I'm going to show you the panel that I was on now, and then at the end of this video, I'm going to link to the panel about the business of art festivals. So watch all the way to the end and then go watch the other video, because these are both really great topics and there was some really great information that was given out. Whether you're a new artist or a seasoned veteran, there's some really great topics that were discussed in these panels.
Okay, we're going to get started, and this panel is why I do art fairs for a living, but I thought it would be interesting to start out and just let them tell you a little bit about themselves and their art, and then I'll ask some questions. So who wants to go first, Evan or Mark? We're missing one person because they had bad trouble.
Your name begins with an E, so you get to go first.
All right. Well, my name is Evan Reinheimer. I'm an artist from New York. I work in photography, and I do a unique kind of photography in which I use an old-fashioned traditional kite to lift my camera up into the sky and take aerial photographs around the world, and I travel to these types of art festivals all over the country. That's me and my medium.
How many years have you been doing it, Evan?
I have been doing art festivals for just over 15 years. This will be my 16th year. I've been taking photographs since I was 3 years old. My mom gave me a little 110 camera when I was a little kid, and I used to go around and take pictures with it, and she would develop the pictures for me, and then I would tell her stories about what I took pictures of. Around that same time, being 3 years old, I started flying kites with my grandfather, but I never thought about doing the 2 of them together until I was in art school and wanted to do aerial photography in the days before drones, but as a poor college kid had no money to rent an airplane. So I taught myself how to do it using Kite.
Let's see. I think I've been doing art shows now full-time for about 15 years. I have the fortune of working with my wife. She is much more versed in the art world than I am. Her knowledge of various mediums is like this, and mine is like this. So our medium is encaustic paintings, and we've been doing it now for over 15 years, and we got into it because it was something different, and when we were trying to figure out what we could do, we say neither one of us has done it, but it was more importantly she had never done it before, so she didn't have a leg up on me. My background is I actually have a degree, and I used to be a registered landscape architect. So I knew basics of drawing.
Okay.
So
I'm going to ask you both, why do you choose art fairs as your venue to sell your work?
Well, when you think about the different avenues to sell artwork, there's a few choices. You can sell through galleries, you can sell through a website, you can sell through like dealers and interior decorators and things like that. And then there's art festivals, art fairs, and those are all viable avenues, and they're all things that I have done, do currently do, and but none of them are as quick, let's say, as art festivals. I can have a new piece, I can take a photograph today, and I could exhibit it tomorrow and get real-time feedback from people, and also the opportunity to meet my collectors and the people who are going to be purchasing my work. Best part about it is the immediacy of it and getting to meet the people who are the end clients of your artwork.
Yeah, I agree. You get a lot of feedback. You see what people like and don't like, but it's nobody can sell your artwork like you can. Okay, you can send it off to a gallery, you can post it online, but unless you have that one-on-one interaction with somebody, nobody can really understand what your thought process is. Nobody can really understand kind of how you got to the point where you go to, because people want to get to know you. Okay, they're not going to get to know you in the gallery because you're not there. Especially for, Evan's got a very, people can look at it and go, it's photography, but they don't understand how he gets to that. People can look at my work and go, I don't understand what encaustic painting is. I can take the time to explain to somebody at a show, and it starts to make them think and formulate, and you start to make that connection.
And it's neat for collectors to meet the artist. There's no other venue that allows you to meet the artist. I mean, I have favorite artists, and some of my favorite artists are people that I'm next to on the weekends doing an art show with. Some of my favorite artists are people that I've never met that are living, but I admire their work, and I would love to get to meet them, but there's no venue to really meet them. And for a collector, getting to meet the creator of the work that they're taking home is a really special thing for them, and it's something that I think as art festival artists we sometimes take for granted, and we don't think about how special that can be for the person taking the art home sometimes. I know I don't always think about it, but just the other day, someone who had bought a piece from me a few weeks ago, they were like, "Oh, we're so excited that we're going to have an Evan Reinheimer piece in our new home. It's our first, piece of art that we're putting up in our new South Florida condo." And it's like, I mean, forgetting like the ego part of it, it's kind of like, oh yeah, they're excited about this, and to me, it's just like, it's another like Tuesday. It's like you have to remember that it's exciting for the collector to come to an art festival and to meet the artist.
To actually meet the person, yeah, and it's cool when you get somebody that they may buy a piece from you one year and they come back the following year and go, okay, I'm ready for another one. I'm starting my collection, and I mean, it's cool when people seek you out because they really enjoy you as a person and your artwork.
So going back to your first art, goes about 15 years ago, can you kind of explain to our emerging artists what that feeling was like, that first art fair? And you kind of go through, oh my God?
Yes, that's very much, it's like you are, at least I think when you do it for the first time, you are so nervous. First of all, getting to the show, okay, do I have the right location? Is this my right booth? Do I have everything? And you start setting up, and you're going, uh-oh, I forgot this. What do I need to do to make sure that my booth is going to stay up? And then all of a sudden, the show starts. You're going, why is nobody stopping? And all of a sudden, the first person comes in, and they go, you have a small conversation, and they leave. And you go,
why didn't they buy it?
exactly. Why?
What was wrong? What was wrong? They were here.
I talked with them. I made eye contact. I did all of this. And they said, thank you, and walked away. What's wrong? I took a shower this morning. I look good, I don't look like a homeless person or something, And then all of a sudden, they walk the show and they come back and they go, your booth really stuck out to me, and I need to get something. And you kind of go, yes, I did something, you know. So I think that first show, you run all sorts of emotions, and now you're just kind of going, okay, it's the end of the show that really matters. You know, you can't be riding that wave because it's too exhausting.
It's really scary too, as an artist, to take something that you've created and then show it in the public. And having never shown to a wide audience like that before too, it's like, well, how is this going to be received? Are people going to look at this and be like, oh, this is garbage, or are they, you know, this isn't technically good?
I've got a camera, I can do this.
Right, and I mean, now that types of comments like that roll off my back now, but initially that hurts.
When you first started, it was always that, oh man, no you can't.
Yeah.
But yet you had the nerve to say that in front of me.
As an artist, you expose yourself and sometimes your feelings and your thoughts and your emotions, and showing that for the first time, or showing something you create, or someone walk into your booth and say like, what is this junk?
You know, I kind of look at it, and you know, I know, you know, my art and your art, you know, it's not going to appeal to everybody.
It won't appeal to most people, and that's a hard thing to learn as an artist.
Exactly.
Most people who come to the art show and who see your work are not going to buy it.
Right.
They might like it, but they might just be polite about it. You never know, but most people are not going to buy it, and that was another hard thing to learn.
You know, that's why I say that there's 31 flavors out there. You know, so it's going to appeal to somebody.
Okay, so I'm here with Zion Rozier. Zion is one of the artists in the Emerging Artist Program here at the Coconut Grove Arts Festival, and part of the Emerging Artist Program is to have some of the artists shadow some of the exhibiting artists during the show here so that they can get some real first-hand experience in learning what it's like to exhibit at the art festival. Zion is from right here in Miami. He works in the medium of color pencil. So Zion, why don't you tell us a little bit about your artwork and who you are?
Sure. So I made drawings of close friends and family members. Ever since I was a little kid, I didn't know the environment that I was around until I lost one of my close friends to gun violence. So from that moment on, I noticed that I like to cherish the positive moments that I share with friends and family members, and I use my God-given talent to document those moments, and that's my inspiration behind the art that I create.
So that's really touching, Zion. I didn't know that about your work. I had looked at some of it earlier, and it's really like bright, vibrant, colorful work, I would describe it as. Would you agree that you try and show like a positive vibe in your artwork? Am I getting that?
Correct.
The right thing?
Yes.
From you?
That's the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great work. I'm gonna put a link to Zion's social media and contact information in the description of the video, so make sure you check him out and follow him on Instagram and all his socials. So Zion, after spending some time with the artists here at the festival and listening to the talks that we're listening to in this video, do you feel like doing an art festival is something that is still a goal of yours, or has this in any way deterred you from doing art festivals? After being out here for, 3 or 4 days, like we were talking about, in the roasting hot sun in South Florida, has this changed your opinion at all?
It definitely encouraged me to continue doing what I do now. My goal is to actually do more art festivals before I actually have the opportunity to be out here next year. And I realized that those potential buyers are out here, and my whole goal and my intention is to build my client rapport with them and actually make myself more discoverable, and most importantly, be here at an art festival where people appreciate art and they only come in here to purchase art. So yes, I see myself doing more.
So that's a really great point that you just brought up there, is about doing an art festival in a place where people appreciate art and understand art, instead of just, festival for the sake of festival. I've looked at your art briefly, and from what I've seen, I think you're really going to go far, and I think your work is perfect for South Florida market here, especially in Miami, and it's a great idea to do some smaller shows around before you come back to the big one next year. And you know, just in the 5 minutes that I've spent with you, I'm impressed with you, I'm impressed with your artwork, and it's been a pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure, man.
So thanks for sharing with us, Zion. Again, make sure you check out all his links in the description, and we're going to go back and listen to some more of the panel talks right now.
Let's go.
So I know there's a huge community of artists on the circuit. And how do you break into that if you're the new guy? What do you do? Because you all have friends out there. And I've seen people lean to support on them, like, hey, I didn't bring a hammer. Do you have a hammer? How do you establish that?
You gotta be there to support each other. And we were talking in the break, it's like you get to know people that have really good attitudes.
As far as like building that community, I mean, I would have just said, yeah, just keep showing up every weekend, and you get familiar faces, and there's people that, like you said, I recognize people's artwork in their booth way before I recognize the person.
Yes.
And I'm terrible with names, so, you know, but I know your booth. Art festivals are also unique because it's a communal activity, and it's a communal event, and artists who look at this as a competition don't end up lasting very long, because even though each booth is its own small business that's next to each other, but for this weekend, we've pooled our money together that goes into advertising, porta potties, garbage removal, all that stuff, permits, police, security, for that weekend, so that we can all get together and create an event. Because if I show up in this field by myself and set up my tent and do advertising, that's not an event. That's a guy in a tent selling his artwork. But when I get 150 of my friends together and we come down here to Coconut Grove, and there's an event now, and there's a reason for thousands of people to come out to this to see artwork and to buy artwork or admire artwork or whatever people's reason is for coming to the show. It's that community of artists that created that event. So even though on some level we're competing for a certain amount of dollars that will be spent at the art show over the weekend, it's
You always want everybody to do well, but you always try to help out. I know I'm not like Jay, where I've got a spreadsheet that I have to check off everything as it goes into my van. But I've got, hammers, screws, tape, clamps, anything and everything that I think that I might need or a neighbor might need. So, I get to a show and my neighbor goes, oh, I forgot this. I go, okay, I've got, you can borrow mine. But I think that's where, you really want everybody to be able to put their best foot forward. So
when you're packing your van and you're like figuring out what to bring, does the market play a part in what you bring? And do you set the same thing you're going to set up in Coconut Grove that you would set up in Minneapolis? Or how does the market play a role in how you show your work and sell your work?
I don't change.
Okay.
I do a couple of shows in Florida, then I'm off to Texas, and then various places around the country doing shows.
My subject matter changes based on location somewhat. I mean, I've worked from the Arctic to the tropics and all places in between, and when I'm in Florida, I show more tropic stuff and maybe some more like travel and European stuff, and then when I'm in Texas, maybe I'll show some more Americana stuff, some more plain stuff, or things that might go better there. I mean, there are a few pieces that, with photography, I'm constantly doing new work anyway, and there's always new stuff, and I always like to show like the newest stuff, so it does change you know, more than you probably do.
Yeah. One of the fun things about doing shows like this is being able to take a little bit of time and walk the show and seeing what other people are doing, because then all of a sudden something hits you in the back of the head that's going, oh wow, they're doing something new, and they're doing something new. I gotta up my game. Your collectors, they're gonna come into your booth, and after 2 or 3 years, if they see that you don't have anything new,
Well, they've seen your booth already. They want something new.
they want
You
something
have to
new.
be innovative.
So you have to be evolving, and you know, I think that's, again, like you were saying, is you get that instant feedback. So you can kind of see, okay, is this a good direction I'm going?
What does it mean to be a good neighbor at an art fair? What are some of those things? You're going to be in this market, and you're going to be working with it. What is a good neighbor and what's a bad neighbor? Because sometimes you learn those things and you didn't know. So can you give them some ideas?
Yeah, I mean, just basically what I mentioned earlier is, if you just look at an art festival as a communal event, and you know, your neighbor is not your competition. Your neighbor is, in some ways, your coworker, at least for the weekend. But if everyone has a great show, that's the goal here. The goal isn't to crush the show and to like make everybody buy from me. The goal is, I want my friends to make money, and I want me to make money and to have a good time and a good life and be prosperous.
I think as a neighbor, if your neighbor has somebody in their booth, you don't want to go talk to them because they've got a job, okay? But if somebody needs help, you know, rolling up their sides, if somebody needs help putting their tent up, if somebody has a question about, hey, what do you think? I was thinking about moving this over here. What do you think? Does this look good? You know, at a show like this where you got a day to set up, you can take 5-10 minutes to help somebody. And it goes a long ways. You know, if somebody goes, hey, I got to run out to my van to get something, or I need a break to go to the bathroom quickly, can you watch my booth? Sure. You know, it's just being able to help people out, because like Evan said, you want everybody to succeed.
Do you guys still get anxious when you go to a show?
We were talking earlier, and we both said we don't like talking to people. Like I'm not an outgoing person. I'm very introverted. I'm not a person who likes to talk to people, which is weird that we're both people who don't like to talk to people, and we're sitting here talking to people. It's not my natural ability to do that. It's not something I enjoy. It's something that beats me down. It causes me anxiety, but it's what allows me to be an artist and to live the lifestyle that I want to live. So I get anxious. I get anxious, especially if there's a morning setup for a show. I don't sleep the night before because I'm more anxious about the logistics. I've kind of gotten over the anxiety over the talking to people, that because I've done, I don't know, 300 shows or something. But so the anxiety about talking to people is minimal. I'm more anxious about logistical things, like, you know, when I show up, is my neighbor going to be parked in my spot? Am I going to be able to unload onto the curb? Is there even going to be enough room on the sidewalk for me to put my junk? But, so yeah, I get anxious about everything.
It's always anxious.
Anxiety is a motivator.
Yeah, and I get anxious. I really do. I will say this, you don't know this yet, but you will get there. I don't get as anxious anymore because all of our kids are gone. Kids are out of the house, okay? So no more tuition bills, okay? We had one get married off 3 years ago, so that's done. You know, we've got one getting married this year. That's already taken care of.
Mark, you just caused him more anxiety.
I know. Just wait. You know, you're still.
Yeah, I have a 7-week-old at home.
Right.
So
See, that's what I said. That anxiousness is going to start coming back for different reasons.
And now it's like I have someone else who depends on me at home, and that's a big responsibility, and that anxiety has become a motivator for me. And it's like, well, now I have to produce better work. My booth has to look perfect every time. I have to be fully stocked every time. I have to, you know, be fully ready. And
I think fully stocked at the beginning of the show.
at the beginning of the show, and then I have to go home with an empty van and then scramble to get fully stocked for the next show.
You're not clear. So
Oh,
don't
right, okay. Well,
don't look
you
at
know.
that. You know, you know, yeah, you get jealous when you see those people having to load one piece into their van. Okay, and you're
They
going.
got their tents in their panel.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, then people are driving away. You know, in 10 minutes. I don't think you ever get over the anxiety. Will they like my work? Will they like me? Will they? Will they? Will they? You know, you will always think of something new to cause you to lose an hour of sleep. But
Only 1 hour?
I can say an hour now because I've been through that. You know, you may be going on 2 or 3 now.
Well, thank you guys both. Does anyone have any questions, guys?
The topic of this talk is why I do art festivals, and art festivals have afforded me living a wonderful life, doing what I love to do. I love to take photographs. I love to fly kites. I love to travel. And this is what allows me to do that. And the worst part of my job is doing an art festival. And doing an art festival is not that bad. The worst day at the art festival, the worst day at the art festival is still better than the best day in a cubicle. So remember that.
We were talking before everything got going, and Jay was saying, you know, the nice thing about this is I answer to myself. If I can be happy at the end of the show, that's the important thing.
Okay, thank you, guys.
So I hope you enjoyed that discussion with myself and artist Mark Mohrenweiser about why I do art festivals for a living. If you enjoyed that talk, you're going to love this talk about the business of art festivals given by artists Callie Hobgood, Cliff Lounsbury, Jay McDougall, and Gwendolyn Redfern. So go watch that video right here.